Louis, to begin with, thank you for your talk, your conversation. Thank you for sharing what drives you, what motivates you, and just thank you for being the incredible self that you are, the role model to all of us that you are. I wanted to ask you, Louis, to please share with us a bit more about the very important linkage between the Arctic and the Antarctic and the rest of the ocean. You know, the Arctic and the Antarctic seem so far removed from the rest of the ocean around the world that we sometimes don't make that linkage. And now that we're all considering and very concerned about health issues around the world, to me, the Arctic and the Antarctic are like the two lungs of a human being. We need to maintain those two lungs in pristine shape, which is what you have been doing with your swims in those waters for the ocean to be in good health. But please explain a bit more about those linkages which you understand so well.
The challenge is this: the two most important places for our health, for our well-being, and for our future are the most distant places in the world. I'm telling you that if the Arctic was right next to China or right next to Washington, DC, and if Antarctica was right next to London or Beijing, we'd have protected them right now. But these are the most distant places in the world, but they're the places where the climate change is happening so quickly, faster than any other place in the planet. And the changes are so enormous. It's the speed of this stuff which is so terrifying. As I mentioned now, when I did my first swim in the Arctic, the water was 3 degrees centigrade. Now you go there into the Arctic now, the air temperature, okay, in Svalbard is 21 degrees centigrade. The water will be about 10 degrees off Svalbard. Down in Antarctica, again, in the summer, we're seeing these enormous changes. And the reason why this is so important, you said it so eloquently, these are like the lungs of the world. These areas store. So Antarctica, so just to explain, Antarctica is a continent. On top of Antarctica are these two great ice sheets. A cool planet protects this ice sheet, preserves it, ensures that all this ice doesn't melt off and then go into the ocean and rise water levels. The Arctic, on the other hand, is an ocean surrounded by land, but in the middle of the Arctic, the water is cold, and so you've got sea ice there, but every single year we're seeing the sea ice getting less and less and less. And that impacts us. It impacts us absolutely enormous because it has the potential to change ocean currents and to change our climate. Okay, that's how huge it is. So we've got to ensure that we keep on the road to Paris. We need to be getting off our fossil fuels as quickly as we can in order to preserve these places, in order to keep this planet cool. Heat up the planet, the poles melt, all of us are going to be impacted.
And of course, the road to Paris that you and Zhang Jing mentioned is the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. So for the friends that are listening into this, when we talk about the road to Paris, we're talking about COP21, the Conference of the Parties 21, where almost 200 nations came together to decide on a roadmap, a future actions that would begin to lower the carbon emissions in the world. So back to you, Elena.